Hey guys, welcome back to Adventures in Aviators and our hiking series. Today we are doing a short but steep hike up to beautiful views of all of Mauritius. It is Deux Mamelles, and if you are new to our channel, we do these hikes on 5 categories: location, trail traffic, plants and wildlife, facilities, and the payoff. And we rank each one of those categories on a scale of 1 to 5 dodo birds.
5 dodo birds.
So let's jump into it. Where is Deux Mamelles? Well, it is nice and easy to find. It is right in the middle of the island and off of arguably one of the best roads in all of Mauritius. That is M2. It kind of straddles right down the middle of Mauritius, and it is just off of M2. You can see here it's about 30 minutes from Grand Bay, a little shorter even from Port Louis, further about an hour away from Myborg, and about an hour or a little more from Le Morne. But it is right in the heart of the island and just west of M2 here, and you take the roundabout for Royal Road and you are taking your first right into this cleared off space here, or you can park along the side of the road here, but this is where this hike begins. Now there are other places where you can begin this hike, and there are all kinds of loops to do all of these different mountains in the area, but we are just going to do Deux Mamelles here, and this is where you would begin that here in this clearing. And from this area, you just follow this road up and you'll see all of a sudden some signs as you kind of get to the top of the ridge, and that is where this hike starts. Because it is right in the middle of the island and easy to find right off of a major road, I'm going to give this the illustrious 5 out of 5 dodo birds.
5 dodo birds.
So for plants and wildlife, if you love plants, oh man, this is your hike. If you like the wildlife, not so much. You are amongst the trees and the vines all throughout this hike. There's a variety of terrain that you're going to be on as you take this rather steep hike. Generally you're going vertically, although not the whole time, but you've got vines and trees kind of all along this thin path as you make your way up to what we're going to do today, which is the eastern peak of Deux Mamelles. Now, one really nice thing about this is that it does mean that it's shaded for a decent portion of the way as you're going up until you get to the very high sections. But you will notice that this path is rough. It's not super easy to track, especially if it's going to be wet. So, you know, if it's a wet day, I would recommend finding a different hike. But what I really enjoyed about this hike is that because there's vines and all these small trees everywhere, even though you gain a lot of elevation at the end, you've got a bunch of handholds to use, and so it really wasn't the leg burner that I thought it was going to be, because you could use these supports all along the way, and so it made the climb, especially at the peak, much easier. So I really appreciated that as well. But you're not going to get a ton in the way of wildlife on this one, so I'm just going to give this 2 out of 5 dodo birds. So for trail traffic, I do know that different hiking companies do use this as a rally point and hike the various peaks in this area, but we did not see many people on this day, and this was on a weekend in the morning. As I always recommend, go nice and early to avoid the crowds. I believe we saw 3 people total on this morning, and you can just see beautiful views all the way around, but not many people at all. As I mentioned before, there are a couple different ways to get to this general area, so the trail does merge at one point, and I'll show you exactly where that is. But when it comes to trail traffic, I am going to give this 4 out of 5 dodo birds. When it comes to facilities, it's a little bit of good and bad. You can see here for the first portion of this hike, there are great signs. So we've already got great parking. There are no bathrooms in this area though, so I'll warn you about that. But we have great signage, and we had signs all along the way. We had painted symbols on trees to help us make sure that we didn't lose our way. There is a part where the path breaks for the different peaks. So if you want to go to the westernmost peak or the easternmost peak, today we're doing the easternmost, there is a break off there. But we had really good signage all the way up to this landing with this beautiful view, at which point it is not very clear how to get up the mountain. And you can see the peak pretty well, and then all of a sudden the main path kind of goes a different direction, and so we actually got a little turned around even though we were pretty sure we knew where we were, and we had to come back to this opening right here in between these trees to go basically straight up the mountain at this point. So it gets quite steep after this little viewpoint here, so do be careful and watch for that. It's not particularly well marked in this one particular area, so it is going to get downgraded there. But overall, really good clear path, well marked path, but no restrooms or anything like that. So I'm going to give this 3 out of 5 dodo birds. So finally we come to the payoff, and at the end you have quite the leg burner to get all the way up to this peak, but when you arrive towards the top, you are just welcomed with amazing views of really the entire island. When you reach the peak, you can see the ocean on all sides of the island. It is quite an epic view, especially with this mountain range right here. You've got La Pousse, which we have as a different hiking video. We have Peter Booth here. We've got a whole number of iconic hikes and peaks in Mauritius, as well as just being able to see all around the island. You can see Coin de Mire in the north. It's just an absolutely gorgeous view, especially on a clear day like this. And you can see how the weather does change up here. And so I actually came back to do my drone shots on a different day, and you can see how the weather was quite a bit different. Even though it was relatively clear, the moisture was gathering and you get clouds up in this area, and because of the contours of the island, you can get clouds and rain in this island, and you can get it pretty quickly. So do be mindful of the weather in this area when you're coming to do your hike. Again, early in the morning is going to be some of your best bet before those winds get whipping. But with views like this, you know this is going to be 5 out of 5 dodo birds.
5 dodo birds.
So guys, I hope you get a chance to do Deux Mamelles. I got to tell you, I just did this the other weekend, and I want to go back. It was a really fun, relatively short, just a couple kilometers, but a beautiful hike with amazing views and such a great payoff at the end. I'm really excited to go back and take some more friends with me. We had such a great time on this hike, especially now that I know where I'm going. So I hope you guys can find your way just like we did. As always, leave this place cleaner than you found it. Find some friends and have some great adventures. Be safe out there. Take lots of water as always. You are near the equator here in Mauritius. And we'll see you next time.